Built in 1972 to host the All-African Games that was held a year later, the National Stadium Surulere, Lagos promised to provide expression of abundant energy of the nation's youth to excel in most sporting activities. For 3 decades, the facility, an initial 55,000 capacity main bowl, fulfilled that purpose, hosting several national and international sporting competitions, has also served as a training ground for sportmen and women. Unfortunately, things began to fall apart in 2004 when the stadium started to suffer neglect, perhaps due to construction of new national stadium in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. Today, all its facilities are thoroughly dilapidated. The edifice that was once a national monument has deteriorated into an eyesore to the embarrassment of the nation that is increasingly becoming incapable of maintaining its national assets. In the past 1 decade, the facility have degenerated from providing skeletal sports function to a religious event center, and now a den of social misfits called area boys, who use it as a launch pad for attacking innocent citizens living in the vicinity. Quite tragically, the same fate has befallen all other national stadia, including Ibadan, Enugu, Bauchi, Kaduna and Abuja. All of them have become a huge economic waste with broken chairs, ceilings and doors, refuse dump, collapsed structures, tracks and poor state of the pitch. The situation of Abuja Stadium presently is even worse. Built in 2003 at a cost of $360 million, more than 100 billion today, the 60,491 capacity edifice is one of the most expensive of such projects in the world. Renovated severally by billions of naira between 2009 when it hosted the Junior World Cup and 2012 when it went into disuse, the stadium is now an official grazing reserve for cattle. Officials have blamed poor funding for this unfortunate state of affairs. Available records show that 6 stadia got 300 million naira in 2012 budget for maintenance, increasing likely to 400 million naira in 2016. With these meager funds, it is evident that the facilities could only be what they are. But there is a lifeline for the Lagos State government, at least for the National Stadium in Lagos. Worried by the social implication of the existence of such a huge facility abandoned in the heart of the state, former Governor of Lagos State, Akinwumi Ambode, requested the federal government to hand over the National Stadium Surulere to the state, promising to transform it to a world standard, while the Minister of Sport, Solomon Dalung, promised to give the request a favorable consideration. No concrete response has been received from the federal government up until now. Too many, they say. It is unfortunate that these facilities, like many other federal assets, continue to lie waste even when they could be converted to profitable economic assets that could generate incomes for the nation. Sadly enough, the federal government budget funds for these facilities every year. It is wondered why this particular national infrastructure is at this stage, considering the amount collected and rented from bear parlors, boutiques and others unconcerned. Keep right here, having stayed longer than any other occupant in the stadium, has more questions begging for answers.
Yeah, I've been in this stadium now, like 10 years ago. I pay every year. So, and definitely as what I'm paying, now I'm not making sales. But I'm just trying because the stadium are dead. If the stadium is moving, I also make a sales. But definitely, just have to do. For me, I say a boxer, I've traveled out of the country, I'm back, I don't have a gym. I'm just trying to maintain here, even though I don't have money, to see that I have an office, so that I will not be an arrogant in the town. That is what I'm doing. So like in a gate there now, they collect 100 naira every day. I believe it's a lot of money. People see that it's a lot of money they are collecting there. You now ask them, what are you guys doing with this money? Even if you quarrel them, what are you doing this money? They are everywhere messing up. He said they are not giving them money. It's through that money they maintain the stadium and pay the security. And like now, the workers, they are workers, they don't have a lot of workers. They have little workers. So, but now they will go outside and employ a lot of boys to come and sweep the compound and they pay them.
Last year, Lagos State hosted the National Sport Festival, and not a single part of the event was hosted in this facility. In fact, our national team still seem homeless. It is believed that this really might be the main reason why some international soccer teams dodge any kind of engagement in Nigeria. Some concerned citizens and ex-internationals are of the opinion that if the federal government does not want the edifice, they should sell it to the Lagos State government or private individuals, stating that the stadium is on prime land which can be developed into exclusive housing estates.
So sad that when you come to National Stadium, the first national stadium in Nigeria, is just unlike where they are training goats. During the days, my days, even when I played here, it was grassy. One problem with Nigeria is that we know how to build, we don't know how to maintain. It is the duty of somebody to maintain this place. And let me tell you, one of the reasons that is making our Super Eagles to play like the way they are playing, as if we are begging them. If they play here, Lagosians cannot take bad game. They will deal with you. When you see the crowd, you must give it to them. But these days, they decided they don't want people to see their loopholes, shifting the matches somewhere where people will not come. It's not going to help us. Let us maintain what we have.
We want to make sure that our facilities are okay, that they are not in this kind of situation where we can always be crying and shouting that our stadium, these facilities are not being taken care of. So all we need is to appeal to the government to help us keep the facilities okay so that our football will develop. With this kind of pitch, you can't see good football. You cannot see a good football played on this kind of pitch. If this pitch is like it was in 2000, I tell you, you will come here and you see beautiful football being played.
Coming to the stadium is a big shame, when you see what is happening to the national stadium. This is where some of us played when we played for the national team, and this is where the likes of Christian Chukwu, all those ex-international, this is where they play. But coming down here to see what is happening here is a big shame to the nation, and I just believe that they have to come out and do something. If they want to pull the stadium down, let them pull it down and give us a new one.
One of the reasons I observe that we made it abandoned are the violence acts that takes place whenever there is a match going on here. If Nigeria loses, the tout around will be violent, attacking the players, bosses, and so on. And I believe that's one of the reasons they abandoned the stadium for a while.
You know that there is a culture in Nigeria that maintenance has been our problem. Most things we erect new thing to be maintained in 10 years' time. 20 years after that, nothing is done on that. I guess that's the problem of this stadium. The people who are in charge, maybe they are trying their best, but their best seems not to be good enough because some of these places are needed to, even come on to urinate here, you cannot even see the toilets.
You need, since Okparaji died in National Stadium here, our football doesn't go anywhere because they did not play football of Okparaji since he was died. Okay, if Super Eagle or Fly Eagle, they did not repair this stadium, National Stadium, and play football of Okparaji when it was died, Nigerian football cannot go anywhere.
Looking ahead, it clearly seems that the funds expended in springing up new projects are far more than the funds expended in renovating the old ones. The National Stadium Surulere used to be the pride of all Nigerians. At a time, people could drive round the stadium to feel that sense of satisfaction and also to feel the pride that the nation could boast of such a gigantic structure. Today, that sense of satisfaction has turned into despair to all colours and users of the stadium.
The big question is, Nigeria, what next? Apart from their potential positive social impacts on the youth, a sporting engagement would keep them sound and occupied. The facilities, if put into productive use, would provide jobs for a considerable number of unemployed youths, since sport is known to attract many adjunct economic activities.